Hello and Kate Míle Fáilte to MudderRucker, the podcast all about Irish women's rugby. Join me, Ailbhe O'Nolan.
And me, Cian
as we bring you the latest on the Irish women's team, from squad selections to match analysis and everything in between. Each week we'll be joined by some of the biggest names in Irish women's rugby to get their insights, stories and behind-the-scenes perspectives on life at the top of the game.
If you enjoy the show, be sure to follow, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps us to grow.
Now, strap on your scrum cap, get stuck in, and let's talk Irish women's rugby. Welcome back to episode 11 of MudderRucker, the only podcast dedicated entirely to Irish women's rugby. August is set to be a busy month as pre-season comes to an end, the Interpros kick off, World Cup warm-up games in Cork and Belfast get underway, and the Rugby World Cup begins in England at the end of the month. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to welcome the new Munster and Leinster captains. Firstly, a proud Tipperary woman who has represented Munster from the under-18s up to seniors, two-time Interpro winner and Irish international, the wonderful Maeve Óg O'Leary. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you for coming on board. And last but not least, we are joined by Molly Boyne, who is the Leinster captain, a wonderful Wexford woman and a powerhouse, and proof that there's something different in the water down there in Wexford, producing amazing forwards. Tipped as Niamh Byrne's protege at Railway Union. Welcome.
Thanks so much, guys. Up Wexford. Delighted to be here.
Have to get a mention in there. In this episode, we will explore the Interpro series, what's at stake, the tribalistic rivalries and the importance of the competition. We will also look ahead to the World Cup warm-ups, like I said, against Scotland and Canada. So just to start off talking about the Interpros, I think it's quite interesting, the kind of pattern that we've seen over the last few years with the Interpros, with the exception of 2020 when the Interpros didn't, finish. We saw Leinster do back-to-back in 2018, 2019. We saw Munster then do back-to-back, and now Leinster have done back-to-back. Molly, is there pressure to do the three in a row?
No, I think that's something that we are trying to keep out of people's mouths at the moment. I think the way that the competition is structured this year and the new crop of players that we have, the developing players that are coming through, we just want to talk about performance, and outcome will happen after that. You know, you have to take each step as it comes, and we don't want the first hurdle to be the one that we fall at, because there's no point in chatting big if you can't put your money where your mouth is for the first one. So all we're thinking about is our first game against Ulster, and then whatever happens after that, we'll take each week as it comes and, you know, keep ourselves grounded, and what happens for us will be based on our performance, and hopefully the outcomes follow, you know.
Is it hard to stay focused on the immediate and not that bigger picture, and to, I suppose, remove that kind of external pressure that might be coming in and just focus on the task at hand?
I think sometimes you can get carried away and think about, you know, the glory of going three in a row. But I think this group is really grounded, and I suppose the fact that there's so many new people in, there almost isn't that weight of expectation, because a lot of the players are now in the World Cup prep and things like that. So the crop that we have don't know, for the majority, what it feels like to win an Interpro or even play in one yet. So I think that keeps those of us who maybe have that experience a little bit more level-headed and grounded, that, you know, we have our work-ons that we can do at the moment, and the excitement of girls graduating from underage rugby up to senior rugby. And those are the wins that we're talking about at the minute. Building our structure and our system, and our defensive patterns that'll, you know, help us to hold our own. But I think the bigger picture and any future glory is just something that we're hoping will come in as a result. But it's not something that we're getting too caught up in it at the minute, because it's an exciting experience for us as a group to be developing and getting to know each other all for the first time, without having to add on any outside pressure. I think it's a nice bubble that we have, and we're not letting any noise or anything from outside kind of get in the way of what we're trying to do first and foremost.
You touched there on the format of the competition, and I think the format probably over the last 10 years has changed fairly frequently. And it's moved around the calendar as well. We've had it, you know, pre-season, we've had it middle of the year, post-Christmas. And I think a lot of that, you know, has had to adapt to the AIL structure shifting, the introduction of the Celtic Challenge. And there's been questions a lot about the purpose of the Interpros in the overall pathway. I think what probably gets lost in that discussion, though, is on an emotional level, what does it mean? And Maeve, come to you, as a player pulling on your provincial jersey, what does that mean?
Yeah, I think to highlight there, the emotion connected to it is massive. I know that Molly would be able to speak as well. There's something about pulling on your provincial jersey, not only just, I suppose, because you're representing whatever number of counties it is behind you, but the legacy that the jersey has, especially down in Munster, it's absolutely incredible. A couple of weeks ago, we had some former players in camp, and from years back, and they were able to kind of come on and chat about their stories, chat about their times where Fiona Steed, she would fly from the UK to come and attend training, and I suppose they didn't have post-training meals, post-match meals. They would get a food made in a pot by, I know Leah Lyons' mother would have provided some of the goods there. I mean, to hear from some past players about where it's come from to now and the legacy that the jersey has is incredible. And then, of course, you have the likes of, Ciara Griffin, Fiona Reedy, Emer Constantine, all these incredible players who would have worn and represented the jersey. And I think that, especially in our group this year, that's something we're focusing on, is the legacy that is behind us and the legacy that we want to leave as well. And I think that it has definitely been thrown around the calendar, but as players, I think we wait nearly in anticipation every single year for when it's going to be put in the calendar. And when the time comes, it's incredibly precious because it's literally 3 months of the year that you get to train and play for your province. And there's something incredibly special about it. And I can't wait for the future to see that hopefully growing at a provincial level and seeing the women's game grow at a provincial level to eventually in years to come match the men's game. That would be unbelievable.
And Cian would know that I'm a complete provincial neutral. I have no preference over who wins or loses. What? Something behind your back there. I don't know. Oh, that's just resting on my wall. I'm holding it for somebody.
I have a folio of photographs put by just in case a situation like this arose. I can prove it either way.
No evidence allowed. This isn't a courtroom. Molly, for you, what does it mean to you to pull on that jersey as well? Is it, do you have that pressure that Maeve's talked about there about, the legacies and the, representing the jersey is so much bigger than just pulling it on and playing a game?
Yeah, it's huge. I think it's something that we look forward to every year. The summertime comes around and you get the opportunity, or you hope to get the opportunity, to pull on the blue jersey. I know for myself, it was something that I almost didn't dare to dream of when I first started playing. I would have been a supporter growing up, and then when you start playing rugby, it's something that you set in your sights and you hope that maybe someday it will happen for you. And I remember getting my first cap was one of the most precious experiences of my playing career so far. And I think it's the same for Maeve Óg. It's the legacy of the people who've gone before you and the opportunity to leave the jersey in a better place than it was when you started, and the bond that you share with your teammates who come from all different clubs. It's just an exciting time of year where you get to pull on the same jersey as the people that you've been getting battered by or battering for the rest of the year, So, and the likes of, that Sene and Jenny and Hannah and all who have gone before us who have put in the graft, like Maeve Óg said, when it was a high performance in mindset, but it wasn't a high performance in, say, support. It's the slog that they went through to get us to this point, and the opportunities that we now have, and the facilities available to us, the support staff that others didn't have. So it's almost our duty to take it with both hands and go and put the province and the jersey in a better place than it was before. It's something that I look forward to all year, and I'd say Maeve Óg would say the same. Like, being able to captain your province it's a real honor. And we talk about dreams come true, but it really is something that you could only hope for, and there's a huge amount of pride about. So it is something that's really powerful and different to any other experience that you get in the rugby season, you know.
And we mentioned that there's a lot of the internationals are away, obviously preparing for the World Cup. So I suppose your squads are somewhat depleted in terms of experience, not entirely, obviously, but there's a lot of fresh faces coming in there. Molly, I know for Leinster, was there a 65 player preliminary panel? What was the challenge like to, I suppose, get to know new faces, get to know how people play and start to whittle it down? What kind of challenges has that brought?
Yeah, so it was a really wide squad to start off with, and there was a lot for people who were bad at learning names like me, it was very challenging. But it was amazing. It gave us the opportunity to have 3 full teams that could rotate in and play against each other in training. There was a huge amount of like breakout groups that we could do and kind of upskill and learn our systems. Early doors information that we laid down and got learning very quick. But it just meant that there was a huge amount of opportunity in training to get reps because there were so many people that would kind of come in and out, and also like offer high quality training because you were able to get solid team structure against each other. And I suppose as the group has started to whittle down, the connections have grown a little bit more. We had a bit of a bonding weekend over the weekend and just kind of solidified all of the work we've been doing on the pitch with some like off pitch stuff as well, which has been great. And as we're kind of working towards the start of the series, the group is getting smaller, and those coming back in from under 20s and maybe the wider World Cup squad are coming back in, and we're just really grounding in on our squad coming into the series. But it has been brilliant. It's just from a development perspective, it's been huge because we've had players from all across the province getting in, teaching us being able to teach them as well. For those of us who've been in the camp for a while, you know, but it's exciting. It's you know, when you're one of the slowest and oldest in the group, it means that there's so much goodness that's coming down the line. It can be humbling, but it's brilliant to learn and get energy from the younger group and hopefully to pass on some of our knowledge to them as well. So it's been a brilliant pre-season, and now that we're, you know, getting down to the nitty gritty, it's exciting to see what the young guns mixed in with the older and more senior players can do as a combination, you know.
I think to build on Molly's point there as well, it's also the uniqueness of it being a World Cup year. Like, it's incredible for the sport, for maybe some younger girls or girls in smaller clubs around the provinces who mightn't actually usually get an opportunity for provincial rugby. These bigger squads across the different provinces have allowed them to get a taster of provincial rugby, and maybe it's that push that they might have needed, or that taste of rugby at a provincial level they might have needed. And I think it's so exciting, and hopefully we can see a little bit of return in the coming years in the growth of the provincial game from that. So I think that the competition this year, it's very, very exciting, and it's offering kind of new and great exposure to some younger girls, or some girls who started at a later age, or girls from smaller clubs who might not get that opportunity, because the reality is the window is so small that trialing periods are tiny. And the fact that it's a World Cup year and it's allowing that gate to kind of open a little bit more for those wider squads is class. And I hope that we can see a positive benefit from it at the club game and in years to come at the provincial game.
And turning to Munster a little bit, who are the ones to watch of the new faces? We've seen some of the under-20s play. For me, the standout was very much Beth Buttimer. And I think half of that was just her anthem singing. She was as passionate as can be. Who for you are the ones to watch, Maeve Óg?
Yeah, well, Beth now at this stage, like, you nearly look at Beth down at senior training this age, you know, she's one of the senior players. But no, I think Beth's first cap for Munster came a week after her 17th birthday. So she wasn't, if I'm remembering right, she wasn't allowed to play the first week because she still was 17, but she was allowed in that second week. But look, there's a massive bunch of players definitely from that under 20 squad that you're mentioning. The NTS is also alive and well down in Munster. So, you know, you've some very, very exciting players like Lucia Lynn, Katrina Finn, who have been leaders, I suppose, on that kind of under 20s side. And I think then there you have to mention the Ennis team who have gone and qualified for the AIL, you know, at a club level. You've really exciting players there, and we've seen so many fantastic talents come through already. There's the likes of Michaela Glynn in its second row. She captained the side this year. And you've Orna Moynihan, who I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing getting a chance this year too. I think then looking at the AIL again, the likes of Eilidh Cahill, I cannot wait for her AIL Player of the Year. It's very exciting. And I know you've been chatting on young guns, but I think there's some players who at a provincial level over the years have been so exciting. Like Claire Bennett had a great series last year. I can't wait to see her again this year. And then you've, you know, you're all reliable like Chloe and Claude and Nick Cronin. So I think that there's names from all, I suppose, different, I'm not saying generations, but definitely different kind of ages in the Munster side that I can't wait to see. And as Molly said, like the gelling of them all together, like there's a saying that anyone can be your teacher, and that's absolutely the case across provincial rugby, because you've young guns coming in, pushing you, showing you different bits and bobs they've learned. Maybe there's some and more efficient ways to do a drill. And then you've obviously the experience coming down from all sides as well, really. So yeah, I they're kind of my ones to watch, even though I named about 10 people there. But yeah, I can't wait to see everybody get on the field and get an opportunity. And sure, like I've only named 6 out of 30 there, but yeah, everyone on the Munster side this year, I'm buzzing to get going.
It's a real positive though that there are so many names that you can mention, and there's so much talent coming through. Molly, at Leinster, who do you think are the ones to watch over the course of this series?
Yeah, I think like there's so much young, exciting talent coming through, and even those who seem young but have been around the Leinster group for a long time. You kind of forget the likes of Jade Gaffney is still coming back from under 20, but it feels like she's been a part of Leinster for years and years now. So I'm really excited to get to take to the pitch with her. She's such a bright spark, so intelligent, such a great player to play with, and very high trust. So I'm really looking forward to getting back on the pitch with her. She's back into training now with us after being away. So it's exciting to see what she's going to bring. The likes of Cara Martin in the centres, you know, where maybe we would have had a really solid international centre before, for her to break in there. She's a stalwart for Blackrock and just a really powerful runner, runs great lines, and just really all around giving great chat from the back line. So looking forward to seeing her as well. And then Caoimhe McCormack, a Railway girl, playing fullback. She was amazing in the AIL this year. And just hoping she'll get the opportunity to show us what she can do in blue as well. So there is a huge breadth of players who are really exciting, and just hopefully a huge amount of them will get the opportunity to put on the blue jersey and show what they can do. Because as Maeve Óg said, you know, regardless of whether they do get to or whether it's they're part of the training squad, keeping us all taking over the knowledge and the experience that they bring back to the clubs wherever they may be, like just pushes on the game even more. So all the exciting players that we're talking about, like Tenny and Amy Rushin and things like that, they're just adding value to our team, and then adding value where when they go back to their clubs too. So yeah, it's really exciting, and a lot of young guns coming through. And then of course you kind of have to mention the older ones like Nikki Coffey coming back, you know. Really looking forward to seeing her getting back to playing and taking charge and leading around the pitch as well. So yeah, it's going to be exciting.
Maeve Óg, you've had significant injury over the past few years, and I suppose you're only really coming back yourself. Been back with Blackrock and now back into the Munster setup. I think, you know, long-term injuries like that can be huge setbacks, but a huge challenge personally, because the rehab journey is so difficult. How was that like for you, and how are you feeling now?
Yeah, it's been quite the journey now. I think I was out for something like 13 months in the end. I had two knee surgeries, one on each knee, so definitely the least ideal. It was obviously the last case scenario. But it's been I hate the word journey, but it's been a journey for sure. But it's, I think honestly more so mentally than physically. Like, you know, we all, you know, hurt ourselves and go through different timelines, and you have your plan and you can stick to that, and you know, like anyone can do that. But I think the side I probably struggled on the most was the more the mental side of it. I think there was a lot of uncertainty around my injuries. It's a cartilage issue I'm actually managing in both of my knees. So it's genetic. I always say shout out to mum and dad because there's nothing I could have done to avoid this.
Credit where credit's due.
It's like, come on, guys, but no, look, I think it's been a massive learning for me. It's given me a lot of opportunity to step away from the pitch and look at other aspects of my life. I'm lucky enough that I've a job that we're able to kind of, give me back as many hours as I wanted during that time and stood by me. That was really, really brilliant. And it also kind of gave me just an opportunity to learn more about my mental performance and how important that is. And I think Molly will probably be able to chat on that too, but definitely more so in recent years around squads, like mental performance is a massive piece to it. And that's just something that my injuries really taught me. There was a stage I wasn't sure of the certainty of me getting back on the pitch, but I think deep down I knew that I'd absolutely be getting back, and the building blocks was starting with Blackrock. So I was able to kind of wean my way back in there, finish off the end of the AIL season. And I just started Interpro training and said, come on, how far can I push this now? And, I'm holding up pretty well, so I'll definitely take it. And there were some dark days, but I'm out on top now. And I think that there's so many fantastic people around me that were able to kind of pull me through it. Physios, teammates, my brother as well, Cian, he's a professional rugby player. He's had any injury, any contract, you name it, he's kind of had to deal with it. So I think that I'm just very, very grateful for every kind of game I get to play back. I think it's funny, we as players, we can be so tough on ourselves after performances, and when you're analysing bits, you're like, why did I do that? But I'm trying to take a little bit more of a positive outlook towards things and just kind of be delighted to make it through different I suppose parts of the season and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm excited now to build performances. For a while there, it was just about getting minutes under my belt, but yeah, I'm excited to build performances now, hopefully through this Munster campaign. And I'm just delighted to be back on the pitch in one piece.
I think the timing is probably, 13 months out is an awfully long period. But the fact that you've got to come back with Blackrock and get those minutes under your belt and hopefully peak going into the Interpros now while taking on the captaincy is probably, hopefully, ideal for you. Molly, come to you and your captaincy. Big boots to fill with Hannah O'Connor stepping aside, stalwart of the game. We've talked about the sentiment of pulling on your provincial jersey. What does captaining the side add to that? Is it an extra layer of pressure, or is it privilege, or a mix of both?
It's probably a mix of both. When Hannah wasn't able to play in the final last year, I was able to have the honour to captain in that last final there. So I got a bit of an experience of what that was like, and it was a very nervous and Ailbhe Dalton at the end, and there's tears in my eyes because A, I was very relieved, and B, it was just the pressure cooker of the week kind of boiling over, and realising that we had done it, and we'd both for ourselves and for the province, but also fill in Hannah's shoes, because she has been an incredible leader for the group over the last couple of years, and she speaks so well. She leads with her chest. She's a real legend of Leinster. So I think coming into this year, I felt that pressure from filling her boots last year, but I think coming into this year, I've been able to kind of take it on as something of my own more. And again, it's probably linked to the fact that a huge amount of this group haven't been involved with Leinster before. So it feels a different squad. So there's less of that weight of expectation to be a similar kind of captain or to be what people expect. And I think Ben mentioned it when he was announcing it to the squad. I'm not the loudest person in the room, and nor do I want to be. I kind of am a person who does my role on the pitch to the best of my ability and hope that other people follow what I'm doing, or and work equally hard. My mom is big into kind of leadership and promoting kind of younger people coming through in her workplace, and her mantra is always that I don't have to have the answer. The answer is in the room. So that's kind of the way that I try to lead as well, is that I don't need to know everything and I don't need to say everything, because there's other leaders in this group who can give their ideas and we'll solve it together. So it's exciting to have a leadership group around me who really help to support that. And it also means that it takes some of the pressure off me and that I don't have to know all the answers, because, you know, I'm a kind of a less of a heads up smart rugby player and more of a just, you know, hit anything that moves kind of person. So, you know, when you've got the likes of Ellie O'Sullivan-Sexton and Nikki Cohey outside you, you know, helping you make decisions, it really does make a huge difference. And it's a huge privilege to play for Leinster, let alone to captain. And I think the group has been, you know, so positive and trusting in me as somebody coming through in the leadership position, and the support that Ben and the coaching staff as well as the girls have given have really made it feel less pressurized. Of course, when it'll come to match day and, you know, you're holding the hand of the mascot, it's going to feel like an extra weight, but I'm really hoping that, you know, that's something that I lean into when it means that you step out onto the pitch with a broader chest and your head held high, because, you know, you have the weight of the province on your shoulders, but, you know, what an honour that is. So yeah, I'm very proud, very honoured, and very excited. As Maeve Óg said, it's so short. You know, you compare it to the AIL where you go through the winter time, you're, you know, killing yourself in the dark training. But we get to play and train in the summer. It's such a short window. You have an opportunity to give your whole self to this campaign. So why wouldn't you just get stuck in and really give it your all for yourself, the province, and the time that's there. So yeah, it is. It's a pressure and a privilege, but no better one, you know.
You touched on leadership groups, and Maeve Óg down in Munster. You've quite a leadership group there available to you with I think myself and Cian's favourite rugby player of all time, Chloe Pearce, and Stephanie Noonan. What does that feel like to have a team of you leading, and, you know, particularly for you as first-time captain of the province?
Yeah, it's unreal, and I think similar to Molly, like I have quite similar leadership style, to be fair. But the main group of players, I suppose, but I suppose that leadership group is so incredibly important, because not one person is going to lead, I suppose, or speak on a group of 30. Like Molly said, every single person's voice is so incredibly important in the room. And to have the likes of Chloe Pearce, who is she is the like epitome of Munster rugby, hard work, dedication, grit, determination, and Steph, the absolute same, who has been, I suppose, they've both been incredible leaders for Munster over the past 5 years, and their club in those in kind of those back-to-back AILs. But having those two alongside me is unreal. And I say alongside me because I truly feel like it's as captain, vice captains, we're all together leading as one. And then we have a wider leadership group again, where we have people from every part and age group of the squad, that ensures that when there is anything happening within the squad, that every single player has an opportunity to have a voice there. And yeah, I think it's having those key players is so incredibly helpful and so incredibly important in success. And, you know, success in the room doesn't come from one person. We all know that. It comes from a group of people all heading in the same direction with the same goal. And if there's a day where I'm not picking up on something or this or that, that's, you know, an opportunity for the other people in the leadership group to step up and on a good day or a bad day. So I'm delighted and very, very grateful to have such a strong leadership group around me, and we work well together, so you can't ask for much more than that.
Well, I'm personally really looking forward to the Interpros. For anybody who's unfamiliar with the dates, it's kicking off on August 10th. Leinster take on Ulster, Munster take on Connacht. And then there's 3 normal weekends, I suppose, where each province faces each other, and then a finals day on August 30th. Tickets available, get to a match. They're the most amazing games you'll ever be at. You'll be right up close, personal with the players, and it's a wonderful thing to do.
We will stick links into the show notes.
Oh, perfect. Cian, do you want to pop in there?
Yeah, I'm going to switch it up a little bit and maybe move away from this rugby stuff for a little bit and kind of find out more about you. Molly, I see you've done work as a research assistant with Kinemo for a couple of years. Is research and that kind of academic work something you enjoy? Is it something you might see yourself doing more down the line?
Potentially, yeah. I am a very kind of reflective and detail-oriented kind of person. So when I finished my undergrad, the opportunity for a master's came up, a master's by research. So that's kind of what I did for the whole of COVID. And while it drove me insane, I did really enjoy it. So yeah, it's something that I'm really interested in. Kinemo is a great, exciting startup that came through Trinity. So, you know, it was amazing to work with them. I kind of was linked in through my master's and then through the work I did when I was in Leinster as a physio. So yeah, it's something that I don't knock, but potentially would have to figure out how financially I could make that work with my life as it is, you know, because the love of research, unfortunately, is not often followed by the money you need to sustain your life. So we shall see.
Yeah, no, it is a tough road, all right, but it's sort of these people who work in it tend to love it, all right. Also,
as you can tell, Cian's not too bad at the research himself.
Yeah, I also did a master's over COVID, and yeah, so yeah, I'm still scarred.
Yeah, I feel that.
Molly, you're from Enniscorthy as well originally. What to you looks like? What does a perfect day back home, away from it all, look like to you?
Oh, okay. Well, if I was to like describe my perfect day, it would actually probably be at home. My family are my favorite people, so if I was to have a perfect day, it would probably be spent with them, regardless of anything else. So I'd probably say have a kind of laid back morning. We've got 4 dogs and 2 cats at home, so you know, spending a bit of time with them in the morning and having a bit of breakfast, and then probably heading to Ballinesker Beach for a walk and a swim. And then going for dinner in the evening with our local Italian. I'd say my mother partly funds that place because she's there so often. So we'd go there and they make the best banoffee you've ever had in your life. I don't know what they do, but every time we go, I have several large slices and then just go home and chill. I think part of being at home for me, I always have this picture of our sitting room has a big fireplace. Through the winter time, that fire will be lighted and the dogs will be lying in front, and you know, we're either sitting watching a movie or chatting. So that kind of is the perfect day to me, regardless of if it was at home in Enniscorthy or if it was any kind of perfect day. That would be, you know, how I'd want to spend one. So yeah.
Yeah, it sounds pretty amazing to me, actually. I wouldn't mind that day myself.
Heaven. Yeah, we're all going to Molly's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Open invite.
Waiting for the invite. Now, Maeve Óg, with a name like that, was Irish a part of your household at all? Was there a couple of Kubla Focal flying around growing up?
Well, I'll tell you the crack now, because no. Well, sorry, they're not, Joe, as classic would have it, you know, you go into junior infants at 4 and you do it the whole way up till you're 18, and that was about it in school. But my name comes from the most backwards way. My mother's not called Maeve, she's called Delia. So there's absolutely no correlation there. But basically my sister, she's a year and a half older than me. They wanted to call her Maeve. And then our next door neighbour ended up having a child 5 months previous. And they called her Maeve. So mum and dad said, right, can't have 2 Maeves that close. It's too confusing. So they called her Sinead. And then mum got pregnant with me and I came out as a girl. And they said, right, let's call her Maeve. And my mum had this old friend who I think she'd passed away at a young age, but she had fabulous energy about her. Her name was Maeve Óg. So mum decided, right, let's call her Maeve Óg. So she goes, I'm the 5th child now, by the way. So she goes to dad, go down there to the office, the local office, and fill out the birth cert. And let's put on Maeve Óg, MEABH, O-G. So as 5th child would have it, dad went down and he just wrote MEAVE. And that was it. And I found out at the age of 40. And I opened my bank account with Maeve Óg, and it's actually it's just MAEV, but no, I'm very proud to go by Maeve Óg, and that's what I suppose that's what I'm known as. But it's the most backward story. There is no story, basically.
Did you change the spelling of your name?
So I thought it was Maeve Óg O'Leary because, you know, in first year in school, they do this thing called Build a Bank where like they come into the school Ailbhe and they set up your bank account for students. Like grand, and then Maeve Óg O'Leary there. But I think I was about 14 when I realised the birth cert was actually, and I don't know how, but sure I had my passport there. But sure, I suppose you're not really conscious before the age of 13 anyway, so I found out then, like, grand. Yeah. No mad story, I wish.
Wow, what a story. Now, keeping on the family side of things, as a Tipperary woman in Munster Red, which in the household is more sacred, the jersey or the hurling allegiance?
The Munster jersey or the hurling allegiance?
The Munster jersey or the hurling allegiance.
So what I'll say is we're definitely, like, for me and my sister, we didn't have rugby growing up. We only had the camogie. So like playing, like we grew up playing on different kind of county sides for Tip. My sister would have been the kind of tomboy of the family. There's 3 boys and 2 girls. So she would have played rugby with the boys until she was 12. And I didn't. I just played the camogie. So the first half of my life so far anyway, it would have been all camogie driven. But my brother and dad, so my granddad played for Munster. My dad would have played loads of rugby as well down in Cork. And my oldest brother Cian plays loads of rugby. So I would say at this stage, when I was 15, also rugby came into my picture and now it's my life. I'd say at this stage, the Munster rugby jersey hold definitely maybe a little bit of a higher presence in our house. But after Tiff winning the All-Ireland now 2 weekends ago, you couldn't beat it. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, the temptation's there, isn't it?
I'm telling you, I was all Tiff. I was all the hurling that day anyway. But
you had to buy your jersey though. I saw the tag being pulled off that.
Oh my God. I got absolutely done. I did. I had to buy. So we decided, it was my idea to do jersey night. But living in Dublin, I left my hearty end for Tip jersey signed by the whole Tip team at home. I tried into Rivalries and buy one. I couldn't believe it. I commuted straight from Dublin to Limerick, and sure, I didn't hear the end of it. Actually, the girls were slagging me, telling me I'd keep the tags on it. But Chloe, during the session, Chloe actually had to pull me out of her ruck, and she pulled me at one stage, and I heard that, and she said, "You're not going to be able to return that anyway now, pal." But no, I kept the jersey anyway, of course. But I looked a big fan. It was an absolute disaster. Mortified.
Send proof to the girls of the real one when you got home then.
I wore the real one after the weekend when we won the All-Ireland, and I said, well, I'd have got more slag, and they were like, okay, we get it.
And he's like, Chloe, don't touch me, the jersey's sacred.
What's this one now? No, but look, Molly, at least we have a presence in the GA at the same time. Over.
Okay, your shots fired.
I'm very ignorant, so I won't even try and go back on that one.
I'm too nice to throw out these slags. I don't like that. I love Wexford. It's beautiful, beautiful county, great potatoes, great strawberries. So can't fault it.
Oh, dark. Oh, gosh. Right, we will move on to some of the World Cup warm-up chat, if that's okay with you guys. So we're looking ahead to the warm-up games, first of all. This Saturday coming, it's Ireland versus Scotland down in Cork, who we last played actually at the end of the Six Nations. Unfortunately, we didn't come away with a victory over in Edinburgh, but we're then going to play Canada the following week. It looks like the World Cup squad won't actually be announced until after the warm-up games. Unlike a lot of our other counterparts, England have announced theirs, New Zealand have announced theirs. There's a lot of the squads being announced already. We are holding off. Molly, do you think that signals that there's opportunities still there for people who are sort of on the fringe of the squad, that they could push for that place on the plane over to England? Yeah, and I suppose that's part of what the warm-up games are about as well. I suppose it depends on what perspective you're coming from. It's either giving your possibles versus probables an opportunity to get reps and put what they've been working on into action, or it's to kind of test combinations and see, if this person is on the bench as a sub, can they come on and do a job in the way that we think they maybe can? So I think it does give that opportunity as well, and it just means that, with the 2 games coming up, maybe they'll kind of stick with a team that they want to get more reps on, or they'll give people opportunities and just check out, if you're coming up against the physicality of Canada, maybe this kind of combination in the back row is going to work, or, maybe these centres will be able to hold their own a little bit better. So, I think there's always exciting opportunities for those on the fringes. It's never a case that you're out of luck, because anything can happen. But I'd say they're all in there chomping at the bit to get a bit of a run out after the pre-season. So, all you can ask for is that they put out a good showing and give us a taste of what's to come in a couple of weeks' time.
I mean, you talked about the back row there, and we've seen a huge amount of injury across the back row, unfortunately, throughout Six Nations. Most recently, Ailbhe Wafer undergoing some knee surgery. There's some optimism that she'd be back maybe in time for the Black Ferns game, in the middle of the World Cup. But we've seen Erin King and Dorothy Wall both suffer huge injuries. I wonder, are there any other positions, Maeve Óg, that you might think that we could do with, even across these two games, building a little bit more depth in? I think, certainly from my perspective, and Chloe Pearce touched on it when we were talking about Six Nations as well, we're very, very reliant on Linda Dugang. They're a tight head, and, there's not a huge amount of depth there. Is it time to just rest her for those two games, or even give her, 20 minutes at the end of each game, but to rely on and get more minutes into another player?
Yeah, I think that proposition, across the game, really, it's always, I suppose, that it's that more experienced position. So it's players who've been in the game. You see transition as well of players into that position. I definitely think it's one that there is maybe, I suppose, at international level, a bit more of a lack of depth. I think there's potentially players coming up through the line. There is players coming up through the line from the club scene and the provincial scene that can hopefully push on and grow their experience over years. But I think that it'll be interesting to see the squad that is put out for the two games. There is a brilliant opportunity in the warm-ups for the other international tight heads, or anyone who might be in. I suppose we're not sure what's going on behind closed doors in that training squad, if anyone else is looking at that transition. Like Dennis Fogarty is a brilliant coach, and he's full of knowledge in there. So even if there is other people who are, I suppose, looking at that tight head side, it'll be interesting to see if they get an opportunity in these warm-up games, or is it that, look, the internationals haven't had a lot of rugby recently, and maybe it is important for Linda to be able to play those two games as well. I think we'll probably see a combination. I think we'll see Linda getting minutes, but I think it would be very interesting to see if there is any players who are, suppose, who take a good chunk of minutes under their belt. I think it's important that is there. Like, we are going into a World Cup, but Linda she's incredibly reliable. She plays the minutes. I suppose that is the side of prop that she is putting 70, sometimes 80 minutes under her belt.
She's a machine.
Yeah.
Absolute machine. But I think we'll probably see a bit of a mix. Like, she'll need her minutes as well going into a World Cup. But it is important that we grow as much depth as possible within these two games.
Molly, we spoke earlier about trying to focus on the task at hand and not looking at bigger pictures, but I think there might be a little bit of difficulty having just lost to Scotland, and Scotland being, I suppose, perpetual rivals of ours. We've always been at a similar level. 4 years ago, it was, they were our undoing when it came to qualifying for the last World Cup. We missed out and they took that last spot. Do you think there will be any of that going on in their minds going into that game, or do you think it'll all be about just World Cup task ahead?
You'd like to think that there has been an element of reflection on what's gone before, that they've been able to kind of process, the emotions and kind of from a more clinical perspective, the things that needed fixing that lead them into this game. So I'm sure they've done all of the review with a view to kind of moving on and parking what's happened before and taking this in their stride. It's a really exciting opportunity to play a team who you have both won and lost against. So that there's a competitive battle there, and what better way to prepare yourself going into what is, the biggest tournament that some of these players will ever get to play in. That they have the challenge set for them that, there's a potential that Scotland will come out and they'll be all guns blazing, and Canada be in this. You have to meet them where they are, and you know, that really pushes you coming into the start of the World Cup to be on your best form. So I think I'm hoping that it's them putting their best foot forward, focusing on themselves and what they can do to achieve the outcome that they want coming into that game. But it's really exciting. You know, the game between Italy and Scotland, I thought was a cracker. I thought Italy looked really good, and then I thought Scotland came back to kind of answer some of their questions in the second half. So, you know, there's a lot that Ireland will learn from that and hopefully be able to put into action. And then, you know, go again against Canada after that, with their learnings and what they've learned from playing against Canada in the WXV as well, you know.
Mentioned Italy there. I put a bit of money on them frightening France now in the pool stages.
They looked good. Like especially the first, say, 20 minutes, like their ruck speed was very quick, lightning balls, physical. It looked good. I might cop down and put a bit of money on that just for the crack. So looking to Canada, you know, it doesn't mirror the men's game in terms of the world ranking positioning. Canada are perpetually one of the top 4 anyway teams in the world. At the moment, they're sitting in second place ahead of the current holders of the World Cup, which is the New Zealand Black Ferns. That's a hell of a World Cup warm-up game to get, Maeve Óg. Do you think it's going to help us or hinder us a bit playing such a big game and such a ferocious opposition?
I think it's only going to help the squad. Like, I think, you know, the saying, to be the best, you have to play the best. And I think that we are going to be coming up against these sorts of teams. Like, you know, we've obviously have the Black Ferns in our pool as well. I think that if we can play a team with the quality of Canada in a warm-up, why wouldn't you? Like, I think it's absolutely the best prep. And you'd rather get shell-shocked in a warm-up game and get into the World Cup and do it there. And I don't think that happen. Like, I don't think that this squad that is going into the World Cup is I suppose the resilience that they've had to build up over the years, and also the strength and unity that they've had to show over the last, or that they have showed through their performance over the last couple of months. Like, I think that the ultimate goal out of the 2 games is going to be looking for performances through combination, and like if the win comes out as that is fantastic. I don't think anyone in the squad is going to be going into those games not looking to lose, of course, but like they'll be incredibly performance driven. And I think more so like looking at probably that third or fourth quarter, like you saw against France in Six Nations, be a fantastic performance in that first 50-60 and just holding on to it for that last, I suppose, the end of the third quarter and the fourth quarter. That'll be probably a bit of a focus point. But I definitely think that this is going to do nothing but help us and help drive the girls on. And the voters that they're going to be able to take away from this is going to be fairly invaluable, especially coming off, like, teams change so much between a Six Nations to now, like, and this Canadian squad also. It's very exciting. Like, Sophie de Goody is back. I can't wait to see her. I'm not sure if she will be playing in the warm-up game. And you've obviously the involvement then of the Canadian 7 side, who have been incredibly impressive, which will be really, really exciting. So yeah, I think it's going to do nothing but help the girls, and there'll be a huge amount that they can take away from the game.
Looking at the pool that we're going to play in, which is Pool C, our opponents, obviously the Black Ferns, and we've only recently beaten them in the WXV. But we have Japan first and then Spain before we go down to Brighton to play the current holders. They only recently played, and Japan beat Spain. And I can imagine that the Irish backroom staff are delighted to see, you know, these two play against each other and get to dissect what they've been doing. But I think Japan, I suppose, a little bit scared me because of their style of play. Molly, for me, I think they play a very open, loose style. It's somewhat unpredictable, and I think they thrive a little bit in a bit of chaos that they create. Do you think Ireland will try and stamp their own structure on a game against Japan, or do you think they'll embrace the chaos too and look for width and space out wide?
I suppose it's hard to know. It'll be good for them to reflect on some of the footage that they've got against Spain and just see, what works and what doesn't work. I suppose you have to be able to be comfortable in chaos yourself if that's the tactic that you want to use. And, for this Irish team, I think structure is something that really helps them to find their flow. So if they're using their structure to then be creative, they can kind of get an element of both. They can use their platform then to launch and then just have a bit of jouet then in the middle, which can be as unpredictable as anything really. But as you say, the dynamism and the unpredictability of Japan is something that can throw people off. But as long as you're prepared for, anything can happen in comfort and chaos and expect the unexpected almost, and prepare as much as you can within the limits of what you can expect. It's all you can do, and then just meet them where they are. I'd like to see a bit of jouet against them as well, and you'd love to see Japan, put their mark on the game with obviously Ireland coming out on top. But it's only more beneficial for rugby across the world for these teams to be playing against each other in the opportunity that only comes up really every 4 years. So yeah, it'd be hard to do, and we might get a taste of it in the 2 games that are to come up. But either way, it'll be exciting, both from a Japanese and from an Irish perspective.
Looking ahead to our own squad selection again after those World Cup warm-ups, Maeve Óg, do you think there's going to be any bolters going to be included in the squad?
Any bolters, like any excitement or any kind of surprises, or
Yeah.
I'm trying to think now of the kind of extended squad that was named. Like, I think that this group has been, like, anyone who's been named within it has fairly, like, been on fringes or been in squads, and that's been so important. That's been so important to build, I suppose, like, getting into that environment. Like, it definitely takes a little bit of time to get up to speed and obviously get all your calls down and get the knowledge around the game down. Trying to think a kind of exciting players to be picked. Like, I can't wait to see. I think that people who are really coming into their own and are still so young, and we nearly forget it, but the likes of Maeve Óg is very exciting. She's an absolute
Unbelievable.
Oh, she's unbelievable, and like, she's an absolute workhorse. I think she's so exciting for this squad. Like, hard to believe that in the last year really is when she's kind of become a key part of the squad. I think you have to give Ruth a shout out as well, my housemate. But I think that she is a player that she's like, I suppose the stage of her kind of life that she's in, she's learning so much and taking on so much so quickly. So I can't wait to kind of see what she's going to bring to this World Cup. And I think, like, of course, honourable mention to Sam Monaghan. I cannot wait to see her back in the green jersey.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
As someone who is so deserving of going to this World Cup and getting a chance back on the stage. I mean, it's like it feels like that international stage is where she's most comfortable. She's unbelievable. So I think they're 3 of the pack anyway that I absolutely can't wait to see. I think there's really exciting opportunity for, like, recent caps like Jane Classy. Of course, there's been a couple of injuries that are so unfortunate, but that is sport, and unfortunately that is the way that rugby goes. So there's, like, great opportunity for herself in that position. I think you've Ailbhe, like, the fight at 9 is such an interesting competition. Like,
3 9s across the 6 nations. Couldn't pick
it's a bit like, and you often, I suppose, it's hard to know across different squads, but you see 2 or 3 picks. So, like, it's going to be really interesting to see where that one leads to. I can't wait to see that kind of battle play out across the warm-up games. It'll be very, very exciting. I know you've Kate Flannery on the fringes of the squad right now, so, like, that's incredibly exciting. She's someone who's been doing a massive amount of work behind the scenes, like, so can't wait to get a look at her. And then, yeah, so I'm working my way through the team now at this stage, really, aren't I? But, like, there's plenty of exciting players, like Aoife Dalton, a first World Cup for her again. She is so young, like, and the amount of caps she has under her belt, and the consistency with her performances is just
incredible.
Great. Can't wait to see Maeve back as well. After some injuries. She's been a key player across 7s and 15s, so for her to be back it's so exciting. And I just, yeah, I can't wait for her to be able to get her chance as well. It's been a really tough road for her, and she's getting back for the right time. So I hope that she'll be back well for this World Cup as well.
Yeah, she had a terrible injury, but looking at some of the footage of her down at the open session in Ennis, she looked fresh as a daisy and hasn't lost a bit of speed. My God. Like, you just couldn't catch her. You couldn't do it.
Oh, she's not real. It comes so naturally to her. And like, sure, we saw that she was 17 or something, getting her first contract, or 16, and like, you know, it's someone who comes so naturally, but she works incredibly hard. She is professional and elite in every single sense of the word. And I know Molly would know her as well, and she'd testify to that as well. But yeah, she's someone who's so deserving of this. So I can't wait to see her back out there.
I remember her first game because I was in Energy Park, and her mother was sat right in front of me. And she came on against Wales, I think it was. And the mother lost her mind. So did all the people with her. And it was a joy to watch them as it was to watch Maeve on the pitch.
Oh, the atmosphere she created herself, like, I'm trying to think which game it was, but it was Six Nations 2 years ago. Every time she gets the ball in her hands, the crowd goes.
The crowd goes wild.
She's so important for the sport, and like she's been such an amazing part of the growth of Irish rugby as well. And I hope she can just go and focus now on her game in the World Cup. It's the most important thing.
Well, World Cup is going to be very exciting, but so are the Interpros. So really, really looking forward to all of that. We have a bit of a tradition here now where we finish up the episode with what is basically Cian's favourite part.
Just my favourite part. Just my favourite part. It's your favourite part as well, but don't lie.
Yeah.
Okay, what this is the lucky dip. You pick a number between 1 and 15, and you get a random question that's assigned to that number on my little sheet here. So, Molly, why don't we go with you first? Pick a number between 1 and 15 there.
I'll go along number 7.
Number 7. If your rugby booth could talk after a match, what do you think they'd say?
What? My current rugby boots would say, please put me in the bin. Tape not together anymore. Please, God.
How many layers of tape have we on them now?
I would say I use a whole roll of electrical tape keeping my boots together this weekend, because the left boot was definitely going to go on me, and then the right boot was thinking about it as well. And then I was talking to Ailbhe Durkin, and she said, well, if you're putting it on one boot, you have to put it on the other boot, because then it looks intentional and not because you're trying to stop the boat from leaking. So I said, okay, I'll look like it's intentional. Yeah, great. And then, you know, put them out and let them rest now, because the new boots are in town for the Interpros. Just have to break them in. God speed, no blisters coming ahead.
Oh, yeah, God, yeah, get them broken in before you have to say anything serious in them. Jesus.
Breaking in on Astro is never easy either. So look.
Oh God, yeah.
The Judders. Right, Maeve Óg. Between 1 and 15 and 7 is gone.
Sure, I'll have to go for the trusty number 8.
Trusty number 8. Okay. What a TV show, movie, or book that you've watched or reread more times than you'd care to admit, but now have to?
God, I have the worst taste, lads. And reality TV now is where it is for me.
Okay,
that is,
yeah.
I know, you know, like the lack of character in me, honestly. But my all-time favourite movie, and I'll have to give it to it, is Parent Trap. You know, the one with Lindsay Lohan. It's good. It's iconic.
It's a classic.
It's a classic. But if you were to catch me on the nightly now, I've Love Island on, I won't lie to you. If it gives you pleasure.
We're not judging you.
I'll come back now and do a full hour episode with you per episode. So much.
That's the content that people want. Seriously, come on. Love Island recap with Maeve Óg.
There's so much to
Actually, to be honest,
I listen to that.
yeah, people would listen to that. Absolutely.
People would listen to that.
I don't know, we could do a bonus episode or something, who knows. I'll send you my rates. I'll send you my rates.
Grand,
You can get all the tips on producing from Cian.
I'm doing all the research from 9 to 10 every evening, so.
Oh no, you've missed it. What are you going to do?
worry, guys. Virgin Media Player has me on solid.
Fair play. And you got the corporate week reference in there as well now. So, you know, there'll be Virgin Media be sending you a check, I'm sure.
Oh, brilliant. Listen, we'll wrap it up there. We won't keep you any longer. So thank you very much to our incredible guests, Maeve Óg O'Leary and Molly Boyne. We have an incredible month of rugby ahead of us between the Interpros and the warm-up games and then the kick-off of the Rugby World Cup. Do yourself a favour and get yourself lined up with tickets to the Interpros or the Scotland-Canada games. It is truly an amazing day out, really great family atmosphere. So get down if you can. If you want to follow all the action, follow our YouTube page. Link is in the show notes. You can also catch us wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to follow and catch the latest episodes. For myself and Cian, Míle Buíochas for tuning in. And don't forget, keep on rooking.